Here we go. Alright, so these are the tables that I started, and then I wrote myself a note for this one that it was a horizontal line at 5. So that one I'm not going to make a table for. I don't typically do that for those problems. So -1 to +3 is where my horizontal line lives. Open circle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open circle at -1, closed at 3, connected in between. So that's that piece of the graph. This one, it wants me to start at -1 and go smaller, so I'm going to do that. -1 would give me 0, and then -1 and -2 when I plug in. I'm at -1, 0. I'm at -2, -1. And I'm at -3, -2. Now these points are, these problems are bigger ticket problems in terms of how many points they're worth, because there's so much going on. Not because of the complexity of it, but just there's so much going on. Here I'm going to start at 3 and then go up, because that's what it's asking me to do. -6 plus 4 is -2. -8 plus 4 is -4. -10 plus 4 is -6. So I have a point at -3, -2, -4, -4. Pretend those are evenly spaced. They are not. And then 5, -6. Trying to make it look better than it does. Is that what we have? Pretty much? Okay. Oh, but we need open. Where's my open? Right here. That should be an open circle because it can't be equal to 3. So 2 opens. If you have 3 equations, 2 open circles. If you have 2 equations, 1. So it's always, the number of open circles is always 1 less than the number of equations. Okay? I have 7 questions total, so if you're kind of wondering, like, how many of these are there going to be? 7. Okay. Let's do 4 and 5. So remember, you'll have a calculator for all of this, so you can use it to help yourself in any way needed. I will warn you if there's a test or quiz coming up with no calculator, that is not this chapter. It wants me to plug in 1 and 5 and then find the average rate of change. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's my formula, same as slope. Before I plug into this formula, I want to plug in here. So 3 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 is going to give me 7. And then this one, when I plug in, should give me 95. So you're plugging in the 5. 5 squared is 25, so this makes it 75 plus 20. That's how I get my 95. And then I did, listening please, 95 minus 7 over 5 minus 1. And it actually came out nice. 22. Yes? Okay. For number 5, you're going to want to plug in g at 5 first. Remember, we work our way out of the parentheses. So I'm going to start with g at 5. So that would give me 5 squared, which is 25 minus 3, so that gives me 22. And then I'm going to find f at 22. If I plug that in, it gives me 110 plus 7. So my final answer would be 117. G of f of 3, again starting at the innermost set of parentheses, so f at 3 first. This will give me 15 plus 7, which is 22. And then I'm going to find g at 22. Remember, think about it like substitution. Once we know what f at 3 is, we can sub in the 22 because they're equal, they're the same thing, so we can sub it in here. So then for this one, I'm plugging into G now. So I've got 22 squared minus 3, 481. Good for both of those? Okay, next. Here come the yeah. Yeah. 6. Here are the f of g of x. Okay. For this one, f of g of x. So you're taking g of x and plugging it into f of x wherever you see an x. So this one becomes 1 over 2x plus 4 plus 7. So truly it's 1 over 2x plus 11 when I simplify. What can't my denominator be? 0. So 2x plus 11 cannot be 0. Subtract over the 11, divide by 2. X cannot be negative 11 halves. Or negative 5.5 would be another way to say that. So we have negative infinity, comma, negative 11 halves, parenthesis, we can't be included, another parenthesis, negative 11 halves to positive infinity. So that's showing that it's not included. For this one, we have 2 times this fraction because we're plugging the fraction in to g of x this time. So if I do 2 times the fraction, I'll get 2 over x plus 7, and then I'll have my plus 4 out back. So I've doubled the fraction, and I'm adding 4. What can't my denominator be? Negative 7. Negative infinity to negative 7, union, negative 7 to infinity, showing the negative 7 isn't included. Okay, give me your attention for a little bit longer, please, because I want to talk through the rest that we weren't going to be able to quite get to. Take a look at this one. This would have been the next problem. Of course, it wouldn't have been done for you, but this would have been the next one. When you're looking for inverses, remember it's a 2-step process in my mind. The way that I've worded it to you guys was to switch x and y and then solve for new y. Again, I call it new y because a minute ago it was x, right? Not even a minute ago. So notice that I switched and solved, and then here it is in its notation. Look at part B though. Part B is trickier. Remember that if you have a variable in the denominator, you have to multiply and get that out of the denominator. So that one was a little bit trickier. What else do you need to know? Make sure that you can find minimums and maximums on your calculator, so that needs to be something you're comfortable doing. And then from there you also need to be able to discuss the intervals over which it's increasing and decreasing. So increasing, I can see that it starts at negative infinity to negative 2. And then it increases again from 4 to positive infinity. Decreasing interval would be from negative 2 to 4. And again, feel free to use parentheses around all that. Good? Okay. I will post the video. The video can